Hey guys, Eric Sargent, General Manager at Ed Martin Toyota in Noblesville, Indiana, and today I'm going to show off a build that I'm very proud of that we commissioned to Slee Off-Road. They did everything that you're going to see in this video with the exception of the supercharger, the Apple CarPlay, and the long-range fuel tank. We did that once we got it back from Colorado. Let me show you around. We'll start by showcasing the TrekBox Alpha. This is the top-end TrekBox drawer system. This has been around for a couple years in the 200 series world. They're made out of birch. They're all covered in Line-X, UV-coated Line-X. They're fully lockable, super high-quality ball bearing systems, so that you can set and you can keep anything that you want in these drawer systems. I don't think that there's a weight restriction per se. If you can fit it in here, I think that this is going to support whatever you decide to cram in these drawers. Included with the vehicle, we have a handful of accessories and takeoff components. The ARB jack does come with this nice carrying case, which won't be needed in this particular build because it is mounted to the back of the Slee rear bumper. We also have a TrekBox accessory table in case you're daily driving this vehicle and you don't want to carry the fridge with you everywhere you go. There is an additional TrekBox shelf here that can be installed where the fridge is at. We have some D-shackles and some additional thumb screws, takeoff components here. We have the rear view mirror that comes with the camera with HomeLink is included as well because we've replaced it with a Vox backup camera with guidelines to supplement the Toyota camera mounted a little bit lower in the car. We have the ARB jack base. This is an accessory to the ARB jack so that you have a nice safe mounting point. We have the ComeUp fair lead and the wire and the controller for the winch. We have a RedArc solar blanket that connects to the vehicle with an Anderson 50 connector. Folds up into a nice bag here as well. ARB digital tire inflator, new in box. We have some Masterpull accessories. We have a snatch block over here. We also have a soft shackle. And then we also have this kinetic recovery rope. The Switch Pro box has all the additional stickers that we didn't use on the Switch Pro. We have a couple Slee locking carrier locks so that if you want to make it so that you can't accidentally shut the rear tire carrier, you can put a locking mechanism on that, so that's included as well. This is the grill to the front center channel speaker. We replaced that with the Gamma VD accessory panel. So this is the original takeoff. We have a source connection, Deutsch to Anderson 50 connector extension cord here. Factory OEM trailer hitch. Various front runner bolts as accessories to the roof rack. Factor 55 synthetic rope recovery or repair tool, and then of course some owner's manuals and some stickers, ARB air locker, ARB jack, Baja Designs, TrekBox, and some various other components. So this will all be packed up neatly and tightly in the TrekBox system for the new owner to enjoy and store where he chooses. So on the side wings on both driver and passenger side, you have this nice high quality nylon strap. No matter what angle you're pulling it from, it's not going to break. It's basically made out of like a seatbelt material. Go ahead and pull that open, and then inside you can store all sorts of gear, recovery gear, anything that you can think of. Just kind of stick it in there. There is nothing that's on this side that is necessarily heat sensitive. So we'll go ahead and shut that, and as you'll notice, there's a nice little soft close hinge there. We have some additional 12-volt outlets on this side of the vehicle. First of all, we have a switch right here. This switch is going to turn on a little amber light. There is one on both sides of the vehicle. These little lights are awesome because they don't really attract bugs being amber in color, and also they utilize a hole that's here for the third row restraint system on a 200 series Land Cruiser. So if you pull the seats out, you're going to have this hole here anyway. Why not stick it with a light and that's flush mounted? This is a really nice modification that the guys at Slee came up with, and it's really ingenious. Underneath of the switch for that additional light in the back, we have a marine grade Blue Sea 12-volt outlet, and then we also have a additional USB port for charging a device. And if you press the button right there, then you can see the voltage on the on the auxiliary battery. Press that button, turn it back off. Towards the middle row, you're going to have a blue C fuse box that's going to basically just be the reference point for all the 12-volt wiring that's in this zone of the vehicle. You may notice above it there's also two more USB ports and another marine grade 12-volt outlet. Moving on to the other side, on the driver's side of the vehicle, symmetrical, you're going to have the additional side wing cubby for additional storage inside of the TrekBox. Right now it has the ARB pump up kit down in there. And then if you'll notice, there is another switch symmetrical to the one for the little amber lights in the third row restraint harness holes. This right here is going to turn on the inverter. Now, all 200 series Land Cruisers come with a 100 watt inverter from the factory. There is a 100 watt power inverter located right underneath here. That comes from the factory, but of course that would be wired to your primary crank battery, which would not be something that you would want to do. Leave yourself stranded in an area by overusing your battery. So this has been rewired to the auxiliary battery by pressing that button right there. And again, that's a nice little Easter egg that the boys at Slee came up with for us on this build. On the tailgate, one thing that I really love that they do as well is that they take your license plate lights, and then you can switch those on so you have additional more light facing outward by pressing this little button right here. So that toggles the license plate lights on. And then there are two additional National Luna lights that are located on the hatchback, and I believe this one is a dual color. This is a amber and white, and then this one is just white. There are 3 power settings of each of the colors, so low, medium, high. Nice low profile, super thin. When this is shut, if this area is filled with cargo, these lights are so flush that you're not really going to impact any kind of actual cargo volume. So as you can see, we have a fridge freezer in here. This is the this is the ARB Zero. This is a 73 liter or 73 core fridge freezer. So you'll notice that it does have a rugged design to it, lots of like rubberized plastic around it. It is connected here through additional straps. We have 2 zones because it is a fridge freezer. So we have the refrigerator portion of it as well as a freezer. Removable wire baskets for ease of cleaning, and also ease of just taking stuff out and loading stuff up. So we're going to go ahead and just shut that. Inside here also there is an AC cord, so you can get your fridge nice and cold before you leave on your trip, and then you don't have to use any additional resources in terms of your auxiliary battery system to get the fridge nice and cold. The TrekBox also has an additional drawer that comes out here. This is a cutting surface that you can use for kitchen prep. Nice convenient storage area underneath of it for your foil, Ziploc bags, utensils, knives, silverware, anything that you would want to keep spices and such inside the vehicle for camping. This is the area that you're going to want to do that. This is also this cutting board is also an anti-fungal, antimicrobial surface, so it's easy to clean and not harvest bacteria if you're cutting meat or something like that on it. To shut it, you just press this right here, right there, press that down, close it, you'll hear it lock. Press this button down, and then this will slide right back in, and then it'll lock in place, and everything is perfectly secure. In the back of all 200 series Land Cruisers in the tailgate, you're going to have 2 storage compartments. This is just going to be a general storage compartment. This is going to be your spline lug so that you can change your wheels. This does have icon wheels. And then we're going to go ahead and shut that, twist it to lock it. And then on the other side, we're going to have the Toyota OEM factory toolkit that you can use for changing the tire, lowering your spare tire. In this case, we don't have a spare tire. What we do on the rear tire carrier, but all your tools are located in here. This comes from Toyota. We'll just go ahead and set that right back in there, and then snap it in, and then we'll move on to the bumper. Now that we have the back of the vehicle closed up, we're going to go ahead and highlight the rear of the vehicle. So we have, obviously we have the Slee dual carrier rear bumper. This is a steel rear bumper. Comes with a ladder on the driver's side and a tire carrier on the passenger side. We have various accessories added to it. So we'll start off by highlighting the max tracks. This has a set of 2 black max tracks that are ratcheted to the back of the tire carrier. We also have an ARB jack. The ARB jack, Slee has offered a high lift accessory for a long time on the back of their 200 series rear bumper. This is the first one, at least at the time of recording of this video, that has an ARB jack on the back of it. So it's a special mount for the ARB jack. This is conveniently thought of so that it has a nice locking mechanism right here, which we'll give you 2 keys for, so that this does not get borrowed by an admirer of this particular product, because this is about a $1,000 jack. Moving on to the other side of the vehicle, we have the ladder assembly, and then you'll notice that there are that the shocks that close the carrier don't have a locking mechanism. This is something that we are including with the vehicle. So inside the TrekBox drawer, there will be the locking mechanism if you choose to use that. There are pros and cons to using that in both as a backup purpose, or just having it so that's simple, or not having to mess with 2 hands when you close the carrier. Let's go ahead and shut it. And then it has a spring mechanism in the T-handle, so when you open this up, it'll automatically unlatch itself off of your striking plate. And then on the other side as well, same thing. Just go ahead and shut it. It'll latch shut, so it's nice and secure at the moment, but it's a little wiggly. And then all you do is you take your right hand, put your pinky inside this carrier, shut it, give it a nice push, and then the bumpers are super tight and secure. This does retain the factory hitch receiver right here. We have added several lights back here. We have the rigid reverse lights right here as well. This rear bumper retains the cross-traffic monitoring system and backup sensors on the rear bumper. We also have an additional light right here, a Baja S2 and Amber on the bottom of the tire carrier. And then there are also 2 more Baja S2s in white up here on the roof rack. And then while we're back here, the last thing that I want to mention before moving on to the front of the vehicle is that we did add a second backup camera right here that works on the box digital rear view mirror. So when you put the car into reverse, this camera will engage on the rear view mirror, and then of course you will retain the factory backup camera in the normal location that will show on the radio screen. Let's move on to the front of the vehicle. Underneath of the vehicle, we have a hair-up supercharger. This is a bolt-on supercharger. This is the TSV2650 for a 3UR Toyota Tundra Land Cruiser motor. This is a factory tune supercharger, so it does not require a special custom tune. It just requires 93 octane fuel to operate under the factory tune. It does bolt onto the factory airbox, and of course we do have a safari snorkel on the side of the car, which we'll get to in just a moment. But to kind of keep our focus on underneath of the hood, we have a lot going on here. We'll start by showing off the ARB twin air compressor. Of course, it's mounted to a Slee stainless steel air compressor tray. We see various additional bolt-ons to the air compressor. Of course, this is a rear locked vehicle. Of course, it's factory E-locked as well. So we have the additional manifold for the rear locker, but we also have an ARB pressure control switch. This is a fairly new accessory. It's been on the links for a long time, but this is independent of the ARB link system that you can control the tire pressure from a smart device such as a phone or an iPod, the tire pressure of your vehicle digitally through your phone by just hooking it up, and then you can lower, inflate or deflate to a specific tire pressure super precisely. On the passenger side, symmetrical to the air compressor, we have the Slee accessory mount. This is a stainless steel tray that you can use to mount any universal accessory that you want to on the side of the vehicle. We have a Deutsch connector located right here, clearly labeled solar, so you can plug in any kind of non-proprietary solar panel or solar blanket. This vehicle does come included with the RedArc solar blanket. And then also we have a Victron isolator so that we can jumpstart our crank battery in the event that the crank battery dies at some point in the future, which of course it will. Then we can jumpstart it off of the lithium battery by pressing one button, which we'll show you when we get to the inside of the vehicle. Moving over here to the dual battery setup, we do have 2 batteries. We have, of course, the crank battery, which is located in the normal crank battery location, but the battery is replaced with an Odyssey Extreme Group 31. So we do have some more cold cranking amps here. You'll notice that it does look a little bit different than OEM because we are using the Slee military grade battery terminals. And of course it has the Slee stainless-steel battery cover on here as well. On the opposite side of the vehicle, we have the Slee dual battery tray. This is designed for a Group 35 auxiliary battery. In this case, we're using a 50 amp hour Battleborn LIF EP04 lithium battery. We are using the Slee dual RedArc DC-DC, BC-DC mount for the charger isolator located right here. And again, we're using the RedArc BC-DC 1250D charger. This is designed for lithium, for a lithium charge as well as an AGM or a gel or lead acid. Additionally, we have a couple of different lights here underneath of the hood as well. We have an always-on switch right here, located right here next to the airbox. This is going to let you turn the lights on so that they are on. If you were showcasing it in the showroom as we are right now, these lights will always stay on. If you put it in this middle position, then the lights are off. And if you put it in the one mode, then there's a pin trigger override. So if you look right here, you can press this button right here and it'll shut it off. This is designed so when you close the hood, then the lights will turn themselves off automatically, and you're never going to have to drain the auxiliary battery. Although, even if you did leave them on, this would probably charge those lights for several months before you would actually drain the battery. But when you shut the lid, it will turn those off, and that is the point of having that. I will go ahead and shut it off for now. While we're in the front of the vehicle, I'd also like to kind of show off the winch and the bumper. We are using the Slee front bumper. This is a 200 series front bumper. It's at the timing of the video, this has been out for about a year, a little over a year at this point. It does fit all years of the 200 series, so 2008 through 2021. We are using the ComeUp Winch. It's a 12.5 thousand-pound wired winch. The winch remote control is connected through this right here on the top of the bumper. You'll notice that we are using the Slee house fair lead, and then we also have a factor 55 flat link on the front. Underneath of here, and this may be a little bit hard to see depending on the camera angle, but we do have an additional air chuck for the ARB twin air compressor right here in the front, and there is also one of those on the rear bumper as well. So there are two of those. So of course there are two solenoids underneath of the attached to the air compressor. And then moving on, a couple more highlights on this front bumper. It is made of steel. We are using Baja S2 Sport Amber fog lights underneath here, and then this bumper does retain full functionality of the Toyota parking sensors located here and on the other side as well. For the roof rack, we chose to go with a front runner roof rack. This is a slimline to low profile roof rack. So this one does not have the capability of adding a camping table underneath of it, but it is several inches lower, and I think that would come in very handy just because it'll fit in a normal garage space. So this is the low profile front runner slimline 2 roof rack. We have a Baja Designs single row light bar mounted underneath of it. This light bar is a two color single row light bar. This does match the 20-inch light bar that is in the front bumper. So these are switched together. You can have them on just the glow mode for amber, or you can put them on full brightness white. On the side of the front runner roof rack, we also have a scene light. There is one on each side of the vehicle. So this is the Baja S2 Pro in white. And again, these are controlled by one switch on the Switch Pro, which we will show you in a moment once we get inside the vehicle. Kind of moving off to the side, while we're on the side of the vehicle, we'll go ahead and highlight that it does have the ARB Safari snorkel. This does retain full usage of the factory airbox. This is going to give additional benefits, so you can, people think you can drive in water and such, and which is some truth to that. But more than anything, you're just you're giving clean air into the airbox. On the side of the vehicle as well, there is the Slee LX570 rock sliders, and these are lit, and these are wired to the dome switch. So when you open the door, you'll notice underneath the car that we do have a nice glow, and when I shut it, they'll turn off automatically. So when the car is locked, these lights will turn off, and when the car is unlocked, they'll turn on. When the door is open, they'll turn on. When the door is shut, they'll turn off. So they work as a puddle light, which can be very handy in just day-to-day usage of the vehicle. One of my favorite parts about this build is that we asked Slee for something that's totally unique, and they delivered with the Slee 2.5 suspension system for a 200 series Land Cruiser. This is a 2.5. It does have adjustable compression settings right here with this dial, located right here with a red tip to it. We are using the SPC upper control arms that we use on all of the builds that we use with OME suspensions as well. This is made in the USA, and again, it's actually made in the USA by ADS, a racing shock company. So we were proud to have this on this build. I personally drove this for about 10 miles just to kind of test it out and see how it is, and it is a totally unique and awesome feeling suspension system. We are riding on a Toyo Open Country all-terrain tire. This is a 35 by 11.5 inch tire. This is the 17-inch Icon Rebound with black lugs, but we did want to make sure, since we were going kind of over the top on this build, that we want to make sure that we were using a 35-inch tire. It's kind of hard to use a 35-inch on a 200 series because of the KDSS arm on the driver's side, but this particular size in Toyo, and I think Nito also makes a 35 by 12 by 11.5. 11.5 inch size or width on these tires does work perfectly fine on a 200 series Land Cruiser, especially with the upgraded suspension system, and I think it turned out great. Protecting the engine, transmission, and underbody of this vehicle, we have the Slee steel skid plate set, and as you can see, you have access to your oil filter for an oil change with 4 Allen wrench bolts located right here. Underneath of the truck, in the spare tire OEM spare tire location, we have an auxiliary fuel tank. We have the 24-gallon long-range automotive auxiliary fuel tank. This is covered in Line-X coating, black Line-X UV coating pre-installation, and then it is wired in with our proprietary plumbing upgrade. So all stainless steel fittings, all quick fit. So if you need to service the pump or any lines, everything is quick fit. All right. In the second row, we have 4 additional USB-A outlets added. These are 4.8 amps, so you can fast charge a tablet device while using it. And they also come with a marine grade plug cover, so that they are water resistant. All right, now that we are inside the vehicle, let's talk about additional accessories that we have added. So the guys at Slee added the Gamma VD accessory tray. This is a fairly new accessory that I haven't actually highlighted yet on a separate individual video, but it is a accessory tray that you can remove the factory center channel speaker cover, and then you can mount anything that you choose to. It does have pre-drilled holes here for your for your speaker penetration. They have added an additional USB port right here. So we have a single USB port, 3.0 port right here for charging a device. And then also a voltage gauge, so you can see where you're at on your auxiliary battery setup. This is a ram mount bar. This is for ram mount size B balls. You can fit 3 of them on here. On my personal vehicle, I have an inReach device and a GoPro. But any ram mount B ball will fit in this, and this is a 9-inch rail system that you can get on Ram's website, or probably at various other places as well. We have an additional rear view camera added to this vehicle. So of course you have the factory one, but because it has a dual carrier rear bumper arms on it, part of it is blocked. So we did go ahead and add a top angle. So there is another camera wired to the spoiler. And then you can have a little bit more visibility further back from using this camera right here, and it has the dynamic guidelines on it as well. Go ahead and put it back into normal park or drive, and then it turns into a totally normal camera system. Of course, this is a base model 200 series Land Cruiser, so it does have a 2-part center console, one for storing thin devices or thin things, and then if you pull up to the next level, we have your Old Faithful cool box. keep your drinks cold at an easy arm's reach. Of course, you have the cup holders here, multi-size cup holders for small little cans of Red Bull all the way up to normal 35 or 40 ounce water bottles as well, with a nice stainless steel brushed aluminum looking cover, heated steering wheel, ventilated seats, heated seats on driver and passenger side, and we have also added an Apple CarPlay module behind the radio. Again, we are very thankful for the guys at Slee that did this entire build for us. The three things that we decided to add after it was all said and done when it got back to Ed Martin was the Apple CarPlay module, so we can utilize Apple CarPlay because for whatever reason Toyota never added it to the 200 series, as well as the supercharger and then the auxiliary fuel tank, but everything else was done by Slee in Colorado. So we do have Apple CarPlay full functionality. You can play any kind of audio file, navigation, or anything else that is Apple CarPlay compatible. The reason that one of the ways to make this unit function as a true OEM function of the car is we are using the EC off-road unit, which is inline. So when we pull the dash out, we put this device inline, and just to activate it, all you do is you press on the home button for 2 seconds, and then it switches back to your normal Toyota radio. Make sure it's on your auxiliary source, press home for 2 seconds, and now we're back into a full functioning Apple CarPlay. So moving on, we also have additional accessories, switches for accessories. So as we mentioned, we have additional reverse lights in the rear. Those are triggered with the reverse switch, so when we put the car in reverse, they are turned on automatically. But if you wanted them on in any additional capacity when the car is in normal park, you could turn those on, or if you're in drive, if you want to blind somebody but that's tailgating you, you could press the reverse light button. If you choose to do so, you have the additional rear light, which is underneath of the tire carrier, amber in color. That's a Baja S2. We have the amber lights, which are the those are actually in the 40-inch Baja light bar and the 20-inch light bar that's in the bumper. So right now we are showing a nice amber glow on the light bars, which is great just for normal visibility, increased visibility, excuse me. We also have the additional roof light, and then we have the light that's the white light that's on the bumper. And then we have additional side lights, and these are going to be your Baja S2s. There's a white one on the left and a white one on the right. And again, we mentioned before that we also have rock lights on this vehicle. They are wired to the dome circuit, so when the doors open, the rock lights will turn on when the doors open, with the same as the dome light right there. And then also, we also have another light on the rack, which is towards there's actually two Baja S2 white lights that are on the top of the roof rack, pointed backwards, kind of like reverse lights, but just additional lights for the rear of the vehicle. To the right of the steering column, we did add two additional buttons here. We have the RedArc trailer brake controller, and then we also have the battery link so that you can charge your, you can jumpstart your crank battery with the auxiliary battery. To the left of the steering wheel, we have a couple additional switches. We have the air compressor for the ARB twin air compressor. We also have the rear locker. And then we also, of course, have your standard power mirror fold-in switch, so you can fold in your power mirrors by pressing that button right there. If you have it in the middle position, then when you lock the car, they'll fold in automatically, and if you have it in the top position, then they will just never fold in. So we typically leave in the middle position, but some people have their cars for years and never know what that exactly does. So there's how that works. Up here in the wood, we installed a long-range fuel tank. So this is the LRA 24-gallon. The 200 series Land Cruiser comes with a 25-gallon fuel tank. So if you are down to E over here on your main gauge, then you can press this right here, and then that will initiate the auxiliary fuel pump to transfer fuel from the auxiliary tank to the main tank. And in theory, you would fill it up completely, because again, this is 24 gallons and the main tank is 25 gallons, so you can just transfer over. It does operate about 1 gallon per minute, so in theory, it would take about 24 minutes to transfer the entire fuel tank over. You can do that while you're driving, and as a matter of fact, I encourage you to do it while you're driving. it's always good to do that when the car is jiggling, just the smallest little vibration to make sure that that level gauge and sending unit are staying in a kind of a dynamic position. So that is the gauge for that. And again, it does have an automatic shut off valve. So once that runs for 3 minutes dry, then it will shut itself off automatically, so you're not going to burn that pump out. When we asked the guys at Slee to really do something special, one of the things they came up with was a fire extinguisher. So we have, what they came up with was an accessory mount that's mounted to the actual seat. So as you move the seat, this is going to go with it. So it doesn't really intrude on any additional leg room. I've sat here in the seat and my feet don't really come anywhere near it. This particular one is a Safecraft, which is a Halon 2.5 pound fire extinguisher. Quick release, just press that right there. It has a nice aluminum finish to it. You can see there's a little spring-loaded ball that rolls back out. And then to put it back, you just throw it right there, pinch it, let it snap, and you're back in. This is just one of the coolest accessories, and we really appreciate them coming up with it for this build. And that concludes our walk around for our very last 200 series video walk around for at least for a new car build. Just wanted to say thank you so much to the guys at Slee Off-Road. Thank you, Ben and Christo and Amory, for the attention to detail and the time and the hours that you put into this project. Thank you to the technicians and electricians and even the guys that clean the cars up. So thank you very much to everyone at Slee Off-Road for making this happen. Also wanted to say thanks to Jonathan here at Ed Martin Toyota. He's our master diagnostic technician that works on all the 200 series Land Cruisers here all day, every single day. He installed the supercharger on this vehicle. Say thank you to the electricians that work on this as well. For now, this is Eric at Ed Martin Toyota. I'm signing off of the channel for the time being. This is our last Land Cruiser project, so we're done for the moment. Stay tuned, like and subscribe to the channel. We may come back soon with some Sequoia builds or Tundra builds. Of course, we always do Tacoma and 4Runner stuff too, but it's not as interesting. So stay tuned to the channel. We'll see what brings of 2022 and 2023.